Hello, I am the Convolutional Neural Gamer, and this is AI War. I'm going to get right back into it and try to finish off this fight against this small army of AI Mark IV ships, which I rather foolishly angered in one big go. So, I suppose I can mention some of these ships, what they do. Mark IV Spy Moors is actually a real, I can't use fleet ships against this kind of force because they will just eat everything immediately. So that's actually a real concern for sort of my long-term play, because transports are good, but eventually in certain circumstances you do want to be able to use your fleet ships just to have additional firepower, because transports, it's not the fastest way of killing them, and some enemies are powerful enough that this is not really a great way of doing things. So having this many Moors going around, as the AI tends to do, could be a real problem. Another one to watch out for is this one, the Flak Guardian. Flak Guardians deal enormous amounts of damage to bombers and the like, which can really cause you a problem, because different ships that... You've got the basic triangle of fighter, bomber, frigate. Of the three, fighters are relatively cheap, but frigates and bombers are much more expensive. If I actually go and take a look, I don't remember the ratio of frigate to bomber. Yeah, bombers are the most expensive, I thought so. So you can actually end up some real money problems if you lose your bombers too often. And so and they also take a long time to rebuild compared to the other ones. So watching out for the ships that are good at taking out your bombers is a pretty good idea if you're actually using normal fleet ships to fight. Generally nothing. I don't think there is a single unit that actually has a bonus against the scout hull. I'm not certain. I can't think of any, certainly, offhand, but there could be something. So transports, there's really not that much to look out for. It's just, is there lots of enemies, in which case that's going to cause you problems, obviously. Lots of high mark enemies cause problems and take ages to kill, as has been noticed here. But if you're using your fleet ships, you have to... I can't throw around defend because they'll go and chase after something across the other side of the map that I don't want them to attack. Though there's less danger here now. I just need to take out all these shield bearers. 488 every 6 seconds, so their attack isn't amazing. It's just they've got a ton of health for how does something that's frigging that tiny have that much health? How much has it actually got in total? 51,000. So they're like a third of one of these. That's there's some pretty tough little units. That said, these ones are half as tough, and they're much smaller. Transports aren't really... They're very large units for their actual... compared to their actual power. I don't think there's anything that in the sort of basic units that are ones that you don't... Like golems and spire ships and stuff that you get by having some of the alternate settings on are bigger than transports, but they're one of the biggest sort of basic units in the game. And they're not one of the toughest. I think the toughest basic unit is probably the Zenith Starship. The Zenith Starship has an enormous amount of health. So it can, they can take a ludicrous amount of punishment before they actually go down. So, I've cleared out that, and sure, it took ages, but at least now these guard posts are left really exposed and I can just mop up. I'm just shift queuing up, attacking everything on the planet, because I don't think there'll be too much retreating going on. And clearing out these tachyons should allow my scouts to get a little further. I've got 9 scouts here. I wonder where my other one's being put. So I really want to get my scouts out to here, so I can actually see what's going on down there. I have something that's low health. There you are. Yikes. Make it a little low. So I want to find out what these other planets on my way to getting to the our target are, and hopefully eventually get on to the target. I should also actually get some scouts on sitting on some of these planets. I don't know. You've got a bit of a dilemma with the scouts, because the more scouts you have, the further afield they can get before getting killed. It looks like that planet's pretty nasty to scouts, because they don't seem to be making it. Something's got really low. I noticed something was actually red. I don't want to lose it, so just pulling them out. There we go. You can get out. So if you can dedicate some scouts to just making sure your units don't you dedicate some scouts to revealing enemy planets, so you know what's going on these enemy planets, or you can try to use them all in a clump to try to scout further afield. Which leads you, that's a bit of a difficult choice, because you really want both. You want to know what's going on all the enemy planets, and you want to have tons of scouts to send out to get further afield. I need to know where my last scout is. So this here will let me see where the scouts are. Okay, so I have a scout that's survived and ended up hiding on this planet. I don't really need intel on this planet, so I'm just going to send them off. So, in the meantime, these guys are finished up here, and I can get on to the next planet. It's a bit funny, because obviously it takes a lot more effort to clear out like a Mark IV planet than it does to clear out the weaker planets. But, on the other hand, they're also more of a problem if you leave them, because if the AI is able to reinforce on a Mark IV planet, they'll get a lot of benefit out of it, which is a real problem. You don't want to have a ton of Mark IV ships sitting right next to you, just waiting for the opportunity to be annoyed and freed. And the longer you leave it, the more Mark IV ships are going to be sitting on that planet, and the harder it'll be to neuter later on if you need. And there's every chance that later on I'll want to be able to go through here and do things. Do I have anything interesting here on these planets? I got a Starship Constructor 4 right next to the Factory 4. Good grief. This is looking like I will be taking... This is like a 3-planet section of really good stuff that I could take over. If I only had a Dyson Sphere, then I could just have swarms of Dysons protecting it. Dysons are interesting little units. One of the options is a Dyson Sphere, which will spawn in a giant... well, it's a golem. It says that it's a sphere around a sun. It's nowhere near as big as a sphere around a sun should be. But, suspension of disbelief and all that. But it spawns continuously some really powerful Dyson Gatlings. These guys are initially hate everyone. They'll attack the AI and you. But if you destroy the AI's command station on that planet, the Dysons will decide that you're on their side and trying to help them clear out the AI from their planet, and they will instead attack the AI and not attack you. And they'll actually patrol, the Dyson Sphere will keep spawning Dysons, and they'll just roam around your planet happily and to protect you. And this can accumulate to be a lot of Dyson Gatlings, because Dyson Gatlings are actually quite powerful units. They're, really... I'm trying to think of a comparably powerful unit. They're sort of starships, but I think they might actually be a bit better. By the way, this is the Special Forces that is coming and attacking me right now, which is what's causing me problems here. That's going to delay my conquest of this planet, because I'm going to have to fight these guys off, which will take a while. I don't have to... there's an AI type that's like the Special Forces captain, and they'll have tons more Special Forces, and you actually have to dodge around them. But regular AI, the Special Forces comes in defensive planets, and you can usually just kill them. It'll just slow your process down. And the more often you kill off the Special Forces, the less Special Forces there are the next time the AI wants to come and annoy you. So, it's kind of good to keep on top of them. Let's tell them to clear out these bombers first, because I don't want... because they've got less. These right starships have a bunch of shields and so they're fairly tough, and they don't actually deal a huge amount of damage. So I kind of want to clear them out pretty quickly. Like I kind of don't care about them. They're not going to deal much damage to my troops. I want to clear out the bombers and stuff instead. Of course, the problem is they're kiting around all the stuff because of this kite flyer AI, and they've picked on my full transport again. So let's do that. So yeah, that's they'll take a while to die, but they don't actually have much health, and they also cause my transport to spaz out because they can't travel through the shields. And there's something about the way they're programmed that makes them think that they want to just charge past the shield. It's probably some little algorithm that's like, I want to get closer, but I can't, so I'm just going to keep charging forward until I get closer, but it doesn't check often enough, so it'll sometimes just shoot way past where it should be. That would be my guess. I am a programmer, so I can make some somewhat educated guesses about the way things would work internally, but I'm not, I don't know how AI works, so there's limits to my guesses. Yeah. Yeah, hence the convolutional neural gamer name, by the way, neural networks, which are recently, very convolutional neural networks have been very successful in AI recently, which is my area of research. So I'm, I've messed around with them. They're good, they're limited, they're not going to give us AGI just yet. I'm not saying that it's not a possibility. They could get us a lot, could be a component of them, but they're not the solution by themselves. We still need more, in my opinion, to actually get us to something that's really going to be useful to your average person. Personally, I would dream of an AI that can really help with sort of normal interactions. An AI that you can say, I want this, and it'll be able to reasonably approximate, not super complicated things. Like, it doesn't have to be as intelligent as a person to be extremely useful to us. Because, we always talk about how computers are annoying because they act in really stupid ways. Wouldn't it be nice if they just didn't do that? I've got a background in AI and interface design, so you can see where this kind of thinking comes from. Okay, so some of these I think are the kite flyer right control starships, and some of them are the regular ones. So the kite flyer ones will run away, and the regular ones won't. This one seems a little bit indecisive about what it wants to do. Anyway, I almost cleaned these guys out. So in theory, if you could create an AI that just had some rudimentary level of understanding, of contextual understanding, they'd be able to help you with a lot of things without needing to really understand everything. But the thing is, we really have no ability currently to create AI that understands the context of things. Even at, like the neural network, it's one at Go. Go is a very specific context when you think about it. It's a game that in many ways could be described as containing within it a whole bunch of context, which is probably why it was so difficult to get AIs that were effective at playing the game in the first place. Why it was a long-standing problem that it's... for those of you who don't know, AlphaGo, using convolutional neural networks, won against the best human player in a game of Go, was a standout result, far beyond and up until that point, our AI systems hadn't even been able to get close to the best human players. So to suddenly come out with a system that's able to beat them was very, very impressive. But it doesn't solve all the problems that AI faces. It gained a lot of attention too. AI has an interesting history with gaining attention. People often gain attention to it and then assume it's going to be able to solve all our problems. And it can't do it yet, so people get very disappointed when they realize that the AI is still limited. It's still, you know, not able to do everything. We still don't have an AI that you could say that you could put in control of the human side of this game and just say play, because multi-step plans are incredibly difficult, and you can't play grand strategy games without a multi-step plan. AIs, you know, so AIs can be clever at specific things, but they think in a way that's very different to the way humans think, and that's why they keep failing to do what you'd expect them to be able to do. You know, they can solve amazing problems, they can play better than a human at Go, and yet still be completely stupid, in a more general sense. General problem solving is an extraordinarily difficult thing to do, and that's what's so impressive about humans, actually, that we can do this general problem solving. We are, you know, we talk about AIs, we are general intelligence, and it's, you know, we're quite well refined in general intelligence. In fact, it seems pretty, you know, it's going to be tough for us to make AI that is substantially better than us at anything, because we are the product of a very refined system for general problem solving. And not only general problem solving, because when you look at what's meant by a general problem, it doesn't mean necessarily what you think it would. Like, a general problem is not, if you analytically look at the space of all the possible problems, the general problem is not solvable as such. You can't have a system that's very good at solving a completely general problem, because there's no reason to prefer one solution to another solution. And so in order to be good at solving general problems, you actually have to be good at the kind of, you have to bias your problem solving in an appropriate way. So you have to have problem solving that is biased to the kinds of problems that you're actually going to encounter. So in the real world, there's actually a very specific kind of problem. We live in a causal world where there's a lot of patterns and relationships between the things that happen. And because of this, we can bias our problem solving to deal with that kind of complexity. And we are extraordinarily, just fantastically good at that, applying that kind of bias to our problem solving, and thereby achieving some extraordinary things with our thinking. And that is what we call general intelligence. But it actually represents in some ways, it represents a somewhat specific general intelligence that we have general intelligence that makes us specifically, like, we are general within the bounds of the kinds of problem you encounter in reality, rather than general within the bounds of all possible problems. And that's what makes us effective problem solvers, and lets us achieve problem solving in the real world. Anyway, that's getting a little off the topic of the game, isn't it? I mean, you know, we've got a nice AI here. This AI is not using any of these sort of AI techniques. It's just hard-coded to behave in a certain way, and that's often actually, in practice, the most effective way to do AIs for realistically sized problems in modern times. You just tell it you know, this is a situation, this is what you should do in that situation. And often what we can come up with in that sort of instruction set is better than we can manage to get an AI to learn, which is, you know, sad but true. It's just too hard to create a proper good learning intelligence. So, yes, oh yes, it's about time that I wrapped up this video on that note. Almost done clearing out this planet. and we'll be able to, and then I'll be able to actually move on to some of to working on some of these planets over here. Do I have my scouts back? Send them over to try to get. Oh no, they can't get through there for some reason. Yor has surprising defense for. Usually, the difficulty of a scout getting through a planet is proportional to the mark level of that planet. So the fact that they can't get through this planet that's either Mark 1 or 2, it's Mark 2 by the looks of it. Funnily enough, it doesn't show Mark 2 when it's a Mark 2 planet. It just shows no mark at all. So you usually expect a scout to basically be able to get through a Mark 2 planet or 2. So that shouldn't be a problem. But in this case, it's proving to be quite difficult. I'm just going to finish off taking out this planet. Before, and then stop the video there, even if it'll take me a few minutes over time. I'm not that fussed about video length. It has to be exactly 20 minutes or anything. I won't finish taking out this planet though, actually, because they've got a Spire shield that I still haven't dealt with. And here come the Special Forces. As I said, if you clear them out, the next time they show up, they're weak. There's only a couple of them. You can see it's a free roaming defender. That kind of indicates that it's going to be a Special Forces or something, because it's allowed to. Free range defender means it's allowed to go out and attack anything, much like your units do. So, anyway, I have been the Convolutional Neural Gamer. This has been AI War. I hope you liked the video. I will see you next time.